All right, well, I've spent the last period of time cleaning parts, getting things ready to go back together. Clean parts go back together easier. Clean parts work better. So all these parts, if you've watched these videos, you know I like to lay everything out so I can count all the parts and see if anything's missing. This is what I use on aluminum. It's 3M Marine Aluminum Restore and Polish. Not quite as good as semi-chrome, but you can buy this whole jar for less than a tube of semichrome, and it works really well. So I shined up what I could, cleaned up what I could, and I've got the gaskets laid out. These are the gaskets that came off of this intake manifold. And more than once, including today, I have found that the gaskets that are on intake manifolds are actually smaller than the intake manifold. If you look at this gasket, you can see a ring around there. That makes the intake smaller. It restricts the intake. So these are the old ones. They're being replaced anyway. But I looked in here at my brand new kit of all new parts, and these are just as bad. So I'm going to open these up with a razor blade, actually a X-Acto knife. On the other side, this intake with the carb mounted, it also, you can see the ring, it was smaller than the manifold. So it was restricting. So I have one out of my leftovers here. I have a few gaskets left over from the years, and it fits perfectly, so I'll use that. Now, on top of that is the heat insulator magnum, and it's smaller than the opening. So I'm going to cut that out a little bit to match the opening in the manifold, so we have free flow all the way through. I see it all the time. Gaskets are smaller than the openings. So it's something that's good to check when you go to put parts together, that they actually do the job they're supposed to do. And that's where we are right now. All right, I've got the camera set up at the rear left side of the bike. I'm going to start bolting stuff onto the head, and let's see how it goes. I've cut the gaskets down so that they match everything. I've already got the gaskets in here. This bike did not have washers on these studs when it came in, so I had 4 appropriate washers in my, I hate to say my junk pile because they're over there in those snap-on cases and they're rather well organized, so I'm putting washers on. Like I say, I did cut the openings in the gaskets so that you get full flow. There's no restrictions anymore. And like I said before, actually even the new gaskets were smaller than the manifold openings, which is a little depressing. It's supposed to be the gasket kit for this bike. And a little bothersome. All right. I actually think that's probably Whitworth, but not that Whitworth. And not that Whitworth, and those are the only 2. So we go back to this guy. What it is, these bolts are slightly messed up from people using the wrong sockets on them. That's good. I won't put the carburetor on here yet. Okay. I polished up the caps, so they look reasonably good. I'm going to put the gaskets on them. And yea, verily, yes, I am going to put a little bit of red goop on each one, gasket sealer. Interesting concept, gasket sealer. It's sort of like if this were a perfect world, nuts and bolts wouldn't need washers, and parts wouldn't need gaskets because the tolerances would be so wonderful that they'd mate beautifully. Now, actually, you can get a better seal between two pieces of metal without a gasket if they are properly manufactured than with the gasket, because you have to think, remember, if you have metal on metal, you've got only two surfaces that can leak. But if you have metal with a gasket on metal, you have four surfaces that can leak. Think about it, it's kind of weird. But since tolerances are such that they're not great, especially not back in the 60s and 70s, I have three different tools for tightening these things down. This is one I made, got a very sharp edge on it. This is one I bought. It's kind of nice, goes 3/4 inch wrench. And this is one I bought, and you put a socket on it. We're going to try this one because it's the nicest one. Yeah. See how that fits in there. Very nice. So anyway, gasket sealer, yes or no? I like gasket sealer. I like this anaerobic gasket sealer. It does a wonderful job. It never gets completely hard. It sort of turns into plastic once you close these things off. And I like it a lot, and I use it a lot. You may have noticed. Other folks say they put engines together for years without using any gasket sealer at all, with no leakage, no problems. And I say, yea, verily, I understand. It works. A lot of people do that. I don't. I use gasket sealer. I like it. And I, too, have been putting bikes together for years with no leaks. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Opinions, opinions, opinions. Opinions are like you know what. Everybody's got one. And I'm going to keep using it. That's my decision. All right, those are nice. Let's put these little cap restraints on. They didn't have washers, so I'm putting washers on them. I may go back and edit out some of this because it's boring. I mean, It's fun to watch one. I'm not sure it's so much fun to watch four. Of anything. All right, that's two. I'm going to stop it for a moment, do the other two. Okay, so valve caps are on, valve cap lock tabs are on, manifold is on. I'm going to put the head steadies on now. And there is a ground wire. We'll stick him under this one. I'm going to put the other side on. And then we'll put the little spacers in that hold them in place. Spacer goes behind the head steady. Bolt goes through it. Bolt goes through the frame. On the other side, another spacer on the bolt. Then the head steady. And the washer and the nut. Do the front. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Here we go. I'll be back. All right, the head steadies are in place, and I'm just going to tighten them down now. All right. Now, I don't think I put the Boyer on this bike. I'm looking at the wire, and it's kind of strange. I'm just going to strip out the wiring and take a look at it and see if anything needs to be changed. All right, the wiring. Electrically, it's actually okay. Physically, it's a mess. So I'm going to do a little cleanup here. Clean up and tie down. I'll be back. Well, I do believe it's actually raining pretty hard here in Phoenix, Arizona. Most places, when it rains, you go inside. Here, when it rains, you go outside just to see it. Kind of cool. Now I'm going to close this door because it's downright chilly in here. All right, I've got the wires all sorted out and cleaned up so I can see the color codes. I'm going to shorten this up, make that about like that. That'll be nicer. Get rid of all of that. These two wires are going down to what used to be the points. They just go right here. This wire is surplus. We don't need it anymore. So these will go to that, and the wire coming down here, which is this is kill, this is this, and we'll just take these two wires right here, hook them here, take them back to this, and that'll be your mag pickup wiring. Okay. So that's a lot simpler. So we'll put that there. White's going to stay with white. That's your ignition. Red is going to go to ground. No, red and black, actually. Red and black go to the coils. So that'll be down here. This ground wire is just hanging out here. We'll use him for grounding this wire when it goes to the coils. These brown, this is brown and blue, brown and green, brown and black. I have to see if this bike had a horn on it and see if I can wire in a horn if it doesn't. So all of this, once I get it cleaned up, will be something like this. Nice and neat. Anyway, I'm going to do that. I'll be back in a minute. A little more than a minute. All right, it's 2 o'clock and I'm tired. And my workbench is a mess. And my work area over here is a mess. And the wiring looks really good. So the wiring is all done in this area. Okay, that's a whole lot better. And I just checked, we do have spark. And I turned on the headlights and I had a beam. But when I changed to the other beam up here on this switch, it blows a fuse. So the client, I think the client said check out the headlight wiring. So I'm going to check out the headlight wiring, but I'm not going to do it today. I'm tired, and tired is not a good condition to be in when you're doing electrical work. So I'm going to call it a day. Tomorrow I will continue checking out the electric, and then I'll continue dressing out the bike. So done for the day, and I'll post this video and clean up afterwards.